I started playing chess at the beginning of 2022, and just 2 years later, in March of 2024, I achieved a rapid rating of 2,206. I exhausted every single resource that exists on the internet. I did it without a coach, and I did it without spending a single dollar. People always ask me how they can replicate the success that I've had while playing chess. But the answer is not so simple. This video will explain in depth every essential step I've taken in my chess journey to secure a rating of 2,200. Whether you're a complete beginner or a striving 2,100, you have something to learn. Although this video will be split up into various rating brackets, I highly recommend you watch the entire video. I'm dropping small pieces of generalized advice in every rating category so everyone has something to learn. So, let's start off at the ground floor. 0 to 500 ELO. Learn a simple opening for white and black. I cannot stress how important it is that you learn a simple opening when you first start playing chess. If for whatever reason you decide that the Ruy Lopez or the Najdorf are your go-to openings when you literally know nothing about chess, God help you. Remember, you're not stuck with one opening for your entire chess journey. If you think that your opening isn't suiting your rating level anymore, you can always change. You need to learn the basics of chess before you delve into the infinite amount of opening preparations that the professionals often get lost in.
Ding plays h3 on move number 4, you guys.
Pick a simple opening with clear plans. Here are some suggestions. The London system. The simplest opening you can play in chess is the London system. It's a systematic opening where the pieces often end up on the same squares every game you play. Does this mean that all of your games will be the same or drawn? No. In fact, I exclusively play the London system and used it as my primary opening for white to get to 2,200 ELO. If you're not a fan of positional games and transitioning into very precise endgames, this might not be the best opening for you. But if you don't want to bother with opening theory, this is your option. The Scotch game. The Scotch game is a fantastic step up in diversity from the London system. It's the perfect balance of not too complex, but not too simple either. Unlike the London system, the Scotch has the potential to transpose into a number of different openings, and each game can end vastly different from the last. Unsure of which opening to pick for white? This would be my recommendation. Now let's look at some openings for black. The Caro-Kann defense. The Caro-Kann defense is one of the easiest chess openings to learn for the black pieces. It often boasts similar pawn structures to that of the London system, and ironically, it's also my primary opening for the black pieces. As far as beginner level openings go, the Caro-Kann would be my recommendation. It's not too complicated and allows serious chances for black without running too much risk. The modern defense. The modern defense allows white to take early control of the center, but prepares to undermine it soon after. It's a super passive setup, which is fantastic at the beginner level, but can have some super aggressive counterattacking opportunity as well. If you're sick of being surprised by early tricks from your opponent and often find yourself on the back foot, the modern defense can be a great remedy. Now you've sorted out your openings, get straight into playing some chess. Play rapid chess, play it daily, and review your games. You might see all of your favorite content creators playing Bullet or Blitz, but if you really want to get better at chess, playing rapid is absolutely imperative. The reality is, if you're only giving yourself 1 or 3 minutes to play a game of chess, where do you fit in the time to actually think about your moves and grow as a chess player? 10-minute rapid chess is absolutely necessary if you want to improve at online chess. However, typically I don't recommend playing in longer time controls than 10-minute rapid. Mainly because of how many people cheat in that pool of players, you'll just be wasting your own time. Play rapid chess. Use absolutely all of your time thinking about how you can dismantle your opponent, and if you lose, review your game extensively. Don't be one of those players that reviews their wins and not their losses. Oh, and one last note on this topic. Try to play at least 2 rapid games every day and a maximum of 10 every day. If you play too few games, you're going to become rusty and make mistakes you usually wouldn't. If you play too many games, not only will you be susceptible to tilt, but if you're actually reviewing your games, it'll simply be too much information to absorb in one day. It took me 2 years to get to where I am today, so you've got a lot of time ahead of you. So you're playing your games, getting a good feel for chess, but when you review your games, you're missing practicing a lot of tactics, what do? Puzzles are your friend. Puzzles are your best friend at this elo. There is absolutely no such thing as too many puzzles at your rating. Why? Because it's less about absorbing the knowledge of tactics and more about training board awareness. Learning tactics and becoming a more creative player should only ever be a byproduct of playing puzzles. I don't care if you have Mikhail Tal levels of creativity, if you cleanly hang a knight in the middle of the game, it counts for nothing. The reality is, if you sit down and play an infinite amount of puzzles, you'll pretty much never blunder a full piece again. Training puzzles massively improves your muscle memory. It trains you to assess the board at different points, consider what is defended and undefended, and indirectly cleans up your general play. Of course, you still need to try your hardest when playing puzzles. You can't just do the ones that you find easy and skip the ones that are too hard. If you do that, you'll make no progress at all. It's also worth noting that puzzles become much less effective in increasing your elo once you get to the 1000 elo mark. It's still worth taking them seriously up until you're around the 1500 elo mark, but after that point, you should highly consider paying more attention to targeted opening, middle game, and end game studies. Now, wait for everything to fall into place. If you're below 500 elo, just know that everything will work out in the end if you use this method. If you get the feeling that you'll never 100% properly understand chess, I guarantee you will. Just keep playing games, keep reviewing them, and keep practicing your puzzles, and you're almost guaranteed to break 500 elo. 500 to 1000 elo. My first suggestion for this rating category? Have fun. Okay, let's all admit it. At some point around this elo mark, you start to get a little bit bored of chess. If you're expecting chess to start getting more fun again when you reach a higher rating, please know it's not always the case. Chess has so much more to offer than just mindlessly grinding to a higher rating. And even if you have no other goal than to do that, enjoying yourself along the way makes it 100 times easier to do that. So in no particular order, here's a few things that you can do to revive your passion for chess. Play in a real-life chess tournament. Play some Bullet or Blitz, watch some chess videos or live streams, watch a professional chess tournament live, try to beat your Puzzle Rush record, or play a chess variant like Fischer Random. It's dangerously easy to isolate yourself when you play chess. At the end of the day, it's not a team game. You're alone at the board, so you might think that the best way to improve is to do it all by yourself. Trust me, chess gets a lot easier when you have a community of people to bounce off of when things get hard. Watch professional games. On the topic of watching Grandmaster games, this played a major role in my growth as a chess player. By far, the best part about watching professional chess games is the commentary. If you watch any big chess tournament, 9 times out of 10, an incredibly talented and insightful commentator is hosting the broadcast. They are able to convey exactly how Grandmasters are feeling to the newer players, helping them understand incredibly high-level chess. The best part about it? It's 100% free. Sure, you might need to watch an advertisement here and there, but it's well worth it. Also, out of curiosity, who are your favorite chess commentators? I'd love to read some of your comments below. If I had to name my top 5 in no particular order, they would be Daniel Naroditsky, Tanya Sachdev, James Canty, Sagar Shah, and David Howell. Time management. When you reach the final few stages of crossing the 1000 elo mark, learning some basic time management skills can go a long way. In fact, in many cases, improving your time management skills can increase your elo by 200. Let's be honest, you're not at the stage of chess expertise to master the art of time management just yet. But here is a super simple way that beginners can start to build their instincts to play at a steady pace. It's called the opening press, and it's super simple to understand. Let's say you're really bad at time management. You're below average at it, in fact. Why not copy your opponent's homework? Time management is not linear by any means. Some positions take longer to calculate than others, demanding more time off your clock. But generally at the 500 to 1000 elo level, spending 1 minute or spending 1 hour calculating a position might not even make a huge difference in the quality of move you decide to play. So copy your opponent's time management. Try to never drop below your opponent's clock. If you don't know what to play, you can always play a waiting move. If you're losing over 25% of your rapid games on time, that is a serious problem. The opening press is specifically designed to induce bad moves from your opponent. They realize they're down on time, and in wanting to catch up, they'll make a mistake. Keep in mind, if your opponent is taking 3 seconds per move in the opening, don't even attempt to compete with this. Let your opponent self-destruct and blunder the game away themselves. If this ever does happen, remember to spend roughly 2 minutes on the opening, 3 minutes on the middle game, and 3 minutes on the end game. 1000 to 1500 elo. End games. Everyone knows their opening theory. It's just a given if you've made it to the 1000 elo mark. You probably know your opening so well by now that you could complete the opening phase in just 1 minute, right? Why can't it be the same for complicated endgames? Sure, there are some really tricky endgames, but there's also some super simple ones too. Those simple ones really shouldn't take longer than 1 minute to convert with competent play. There's a really cool feature that goes unappreciated on chess.com, and it's the endgame trainer. It allows you to practice virtually every important endgame preset against a bot of your choosing as many times as you like. I 100% recommend this as your primary tool to improve your endgames at this level. Endgames is what sets me aside from other players at my level. Chess.com's insights suggest 70% of my games are decided in the endgame compared to the average of 52%. When you master the art of the endgame, everything else becomes so much easier. That position where you could have traded into a difficult endgame with a +1 advantage, that becomes light work when you master your endgames. It's a lot to take in all at once, but here is a list of endgames that are absolutely mandatory to learn to a competent level. For balanced endgames: king and pawn, king, knight and pawn, king, bishop and pawn, king, rook and pawn, king, queen, and pawn. And for imbalanced endgames: opposite colored bishop, 2 rooks versus 1 queen, knight versus bishop, 2 knights versus 2 bishops, and rook versus minor piece endgame. You can learn absolutely all of these endgames through chess.com's endgame trainer as many times as you'd like. You don't have to play them perfectly every time, but you should learn them to a competent level to give you an edge over your opponent. Free content. Paying for educational content might be the worst thing you can do as a chess player trying to genuinely improve. By this, I don't mean a chess.com subscription, or any subscription for tools that assist your chess. I mean courses. Forking out hundreds of dollars on chess courses is absolutely bizarre to me. The exact same content can be found for free online. Don't believe me? Search on YouTube Caro-Kann Chess Speedrun. I guarantee you will find numerous titled players who have uploaded hours of content regarding the Caro-Kann and exactly how you should play it. It's exactly how I learned to play the Caro-Kann. I searched the same thing into YouTube and watched a video made by International Master Alex Banzea back when I was below 1000 elo. Spending hundreds of dollars on chess courses is essentially giving up, in my opinion. It's a subliminal tell that you think you've exhausted every avenue to get better at chess and you've resorted to paying someone else to help you. Nothing is more demoralizing than spending hundreds of dollars trying to get better at chess and having no change to your rating. Stick to the free content until you're much higher rated. My advice: wait until you're at least 2000 elo and then make the decision. That decision should also be to pay for coaching, not a course. Remember, a coach will give you 100 times more value for money than any course will. And if you are going to buy a course, just a side note, there are lots of people advertising courses online that are super dodgy. They stick their title on the front page of the course to convince you to buy it, but with any amount of research, you can see how irrelevant the title really is. You can win FIDE Master, Candidate Master, Women's Candidate Master, Women's FIDE Master, and Women's International Master titles at chess tournaments without needing an advanced rating. You might even be purchasing a course from someone less knowledgeable than yourself. Not only this, but there's also been a lot of controversy regarding players illegitimately gaining titles by bribing opponents into losing games. If you want to read more into this topic, here's a super interesting chess.com article regarding the issue. Moral of the story is, be careful where you spend your money online. 1,500 to 2,000 ELO. Notation training. 1,500 to 2,000 ELO is the hardest gap to cross. Why? Because it's where most people give up. Of course, the gap between 2,000 ELO and becoming a Grandmaster is much harder, but relative to how many people even attempt to cross this boundary, the journey to 2,000 is where most people fail. Let's take a step back and learn notations properly. Soon, we're going to need to look at advanced opening, middle game, and endgame studies. This kind of thing requires you to be knowledgeable in chess notations. It's super simple to learn and should only take you an hour or two. The best part, you only need to do it once. Hop on chess.com and go to www.chess.com/vision. This is a tool for you to practice your notation. It's a lot like how we described training puzzles earlier. It's not so much about understanding what you're doing, it's about training muscle memory. If somebody tells you bishop takes f6, your eyes should immediately dart towards the f6 square. A big problem a lot of people have is looking at the f3, c6, and c3 squares. These are called cousin squares and are easily mistaken because they're in similar locations. It might not seem like much, but trust me, if you're studying to become a better chess player and your mind keeps jumping to the incorrect squares when reading notations, it's unbelievably difficult to stay focused. You're going to thank me later for spending just a few hours learning this. Set your challenge ratings. Are you getting these games where you're suddenly playing someone 200 ELO lower rated than you? If you're limiting yourself to 10 games per day, what a waste of time. That's at least 20 minutes out of your day wasted. People might argue, well, if they're so much lower ELO than you, it should be an easy win. This is not the case at all. Even if it was an easy win, what did you learn by beating a lower rated opponent? You should constantly be challenging yourself by playing players that are either at your level or above your level. I highly recommend going into your chess.com settings, clicking on live chess, and setting your outgoing game challenges to a minimum of -100 and a maximum of infinity. This way, you'll still get paired up against lower rated opponents, but you'll never get the pairings where you lose 16 ELO just for losing a game. Reassess everything. Remember all that time ago when you learnt your opening? Or all that time ago where you learnt your endgames or basic tactics? Do you remember how low rated you were when you first did it? Yeah, you're probably going to have to do all of that all over again. That's just chess for you. As you get higher rated, you're going to need to revisit every single part of your game. Some things grow naturally as you play, like your time management, but that opening theory that you learnt when you were 1000 ELO, that probably needs tweaking. I know it's a lot to cover, but here's a strategy plan I put together for you guys. Openings. Play solitaire chess with Grandmaster games in your respective opening. For example, if you play the London system, play this game. Solitaire chess is looking at a chess game and trying to guess the player's move before they play it based on your own calculations. Use chess.com's Explorer tool to highlight weaknesses in your game. For example, here's my statistics when someone plays the Alien Gambit against my Caro-Kann. White wins almost 70% of the time. Clearly, I have work I need to do here. The middle game is the most complex game phase in chess, and there is no one way to completely overhaul how you perform in them. One suggestion I have is to play Puzzle Rush Survival. It's a chess.com game mode where you have 7 days to play puzzles, each one harder than the last by an increment of 50 rating points. You only have 3 strikes, then your rush is over. Try to carefully think about your puzzles. Don't rush anything and only make moves once you fully understand why it's the answer. If you don't fully understand a puzzle once you've got it wrong, analyze it. Middle games are the hardest part of chess. If this is the part that you think you need external coaching for, no one will blame you. Generally, playing chess games and reviewing them properly is the best way to improve your middle games. There is no trick. Endgames. If you skipped up to this point, we've already touched on endgames and the best way to improve at them. On screen, you can see the timestamp. This is the best way to improve at endgames regardless of your rating. If you're over 2000 elo, you can still learn from this tool. And last but not least in this rating category, practice flagging. You know you've gotten pretty good at chess when playing bullet actually becomes very useful in your growth. Regardless of what time control you play, even in classical chess, learning how to stay composed in time scrambles is an absolute necessity. Learning how to convert winning positions in low time without panicking, or anything that falls under the same umbrella. I don't need to tell you to do too much in particular, but here is my seal of approval to start grinding your bullet elo if you've made it this far into your progress. Don't play bullet degenerately, of course. We don't want it replacing the time you use to play rapid games, but playing bullet games and using it as a tool to improve your time scramble abilities is definitely worthwhile. At any point, try to grind your bullet elo to be within 200 elo of your rapid elo. This is a great balance to keep for maximum efficiency. 2000 to 2200 plus elo. The 1% improvements. 2000 plus elo games is where things begin to be decided by who has the 1% advantage over their opponent. Of course, some games can end because somebody blundered an entire piece in the middle game, but generally that is going to be very rare. Here is a list of 1% improvements you can add to your game. Don't rematch opponents. Rematching is completely biased and is an unnatural way to increase your rating. If you rematch someone because you enjoyed playing against their opening, it's unnatural. If you rematch someone because you are annoyed you lost, it's an unnatural way to lose elo. Why can titled players rematch their opponents in the pool? Because there aren't enough players in the pool to randomly play games against without versing cheaters. Report suspicious accounts. Did you play a game against an opponent you were suspicious of? Report their account. No one deserves to lose elo because they played a cheater. You're more than entitled to have that elo returned to you. I recently made a full-length video on cheating in online chess. You can check it out by clicking the link in the description. Scout your opponents. Before a game starts, click on your opponent's profile to gain a little bit of information about them. Here is some information that you can deduce by looking at a player's profile. Profile pictures may indicate opponents' ages. Older players tend to struggle in time scrambles. Recent games may show if the opponent is on a winning streak or a losing streak. All-time peak rapid rating may show if the opponent is playing well below their maximum rating. Account age and rapid rating growth may indicate you're playing a cheater. There is plenty of information that you can find by looking at your opponent's profile for 10 to 15 seconds. What you do with that information is completely up to you. Whether you play more aggressively or play more passively, the ball is in your court. Warm up before you play. It can be as simple as playing a few puzzles before you play real games, or maybe even playing against a high difficulty chess.com bot before you load up a rated match. We can all agree there's nothing worse than starting your first game of the day and making a terrible opening blunder because you are feeling a little bit rusty. Take 10 minutes to warm up before you play your first game of the day. Treat every game like a world championship match. Check your chess.com insights. This is a weird one, but chess.com insights can actually tell you a lot about how you play and abstract places you can improve in. For example, it tells you the average accuracy at different times of the day. Personally, on average, chess.com thinks I play at 83% accuracy. However, if I play from 1 AM to 8 AM, that accuracy drops to 79%. That same data suggests that I lose 66% of the games I play between 1 AM and 8 AM, whereas between 6 PM and 12 PM, I win 65% of the games I play. Maybe chess.com's insights can tell something about the way that you play chess as well. The reality is, I only crossed the 2200 elo threshold around a month ago. I'm certainly not qualified to tell you exactly how to bridge the gap from 2000 to 2200 elo, but I can definitely give you a few niche tips that got me over the line. But I don't want to leave you guys empty-handed in terms of concrete information for this bracket. So I'm going to hand you over to some of the greatest teachers on the internet that helped me get to 2200 elo without even knowing it. As far as commentators go, FIDE Master James Canty, Grandmaster Daniel Naroditsky, Grandmaster Robert Hess, International Master Tanya Sachdev, Grandmaster David Howell, and maybe surprisingly my favorite commentator out of the lot, International Master Sagar Shah. If you're looking for Twitch streamers, I highly recommend GM Naroditsky, GM Canty, Chessbra, Grandmaster Gowry, and I Am Rosen. And chess YouTubers, I recommend Daniel Naroditsky again, Gotham Chess, Alex Banzea, and Agad Maida. I hope you've all been able to learn something through the lens of my chess journey. If I'm being completely honest, I thought 2200 ELO on chess.com would be my absolute maximum rating. I didn't really think I would reach it at all, let alone 2 years after I played my first chess game. So set your goals high, so even if you don't quite achieve them, you still have something to be very proud of.